mute so you don't hear Herschel drinking water.
Good morning.
Good morning and Happy New Year, Peter. And all.
Thanks, Terry. Happy New Year to you also, and everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Jason.
Christy, this is our second meeting today.
It is. Very productive Thursday, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Hey, Stephen.
Morning.
Let's get dialed in here, see who's there. Peter, good morning. Jason, good morning. Hey, Christy.
Good morning.
Happy New Year to everybody. I guess
Happy New Year.
it's been, it's already been a week.
Steve,
Time is already, what's that, Jason?
What microphone do you use? Your audio is really good.
It's a headset at this workstation.
It's good.
With a Realtek audio card in this computer. I can hear better at this one too. All right, look, it's already a little, just a minute or so after 10 if my clock's on. So I'm gonna go ahead and get us started. We have a quorum. So for the record, Stephen Welch, Chair of the Capital Program Committee. I'd like to confirm access. Peter McEachern,
Here.
Christy Ferrantella,
Here.
Jason Bridges,
Here.
Pete Kaiser.
Here.
And myself, and with staff, Rick.
Here.
Hey, Rick. Christy, I see you're, Christy Kickham, I see you're here. Welcome. And can you confirm access?
Yes, I've got to peel off at 10:30 though, so I won't be.
I do as well. I have to chair another meeting, so I'll
I'm
probably
hoping we're out of here in
15.
15 minutes, guys and
Excellent.
gals.
Right. Yes.
Good morning, Terry. All right, so the meeting is via Zoom video and audio and video broadcast on YouTube, on the town's YouTube channel, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020. There's no members of the public present, so there will be no public comment. Any materials provided for the meeting will also be provided on our town webpage unless otherwise noted. We only have a couple of agenda items this morning I'll introduce, and we'll go from there. Please remember to mute your audio until your name is called, and direct questions through the chair for minute taking. And lastly, formal votes, if any, will be conducted via roll call. With that said, we'll move on to the meeting agenda. I will call this meeting of the Capital Program Committee to order. It is Thursday, January 7th at just after 10 a.m. Could I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So
Actually, Peter, can you make that, the motion would be to approve the agenda as amended on the town website?
motion to approve the agenda as amended on the town website.
Okay, thank you very much. On your motion?
Aye.
Peter McEachern,
Aye.
Christy Ferrantella,
Aye.
Jason Bridges,
Aye.
Richard Hussey,
Aye.
Christy Kickham,
Aye.
and myself, and I. And I'll explain that in just a moment. Airport, we have on the agenda, they have a supplemental request in. And then there's one other item which we'll get to, which was not anticipated by the chair 40 hours in advance of the meeting, which is a minor, I believe it's a minor matter with respect to changing a funding source for the SCBA's. So we'll touch base on that too. Rick, could you please lead us in on the airport request for the fuel farm supplemental?
Sure. Well, Brian was expecting to join. I know he's rushing into the office as we stand, as he has had more direct conversations around this, and that's why I asked him to be, if he could attend today. So hopefully everybody got to see, got a
Rick,
chance to read. Yeah.
Rick, I'm sorry. I've got to turn out my my audio may be good, but my sound is a little low. Did you say that Brian intended to and will not be, or he's just not signed in yet?
He's rushing into the office.
Okay, so what I'd like to do then, I'll take, what we'll do is we'll move the SCBA's. Let's just flip flop that. And why don't you explain to us what's going on with the funding source, and we'll deal with that.
Yeah, so the funding source as submitted to Capcom was free cash. In fact, in discussion, in sort of reconciling everything with Brian a couple of days ago, and then Brian reconciling back to his meeting with Libby, determined that it was capital exclusion instead. And so we essentially, it is nothing more than it was communicated incorrectly to Capcom. And so we just wanted to flag that it was intended to not be free cash item.
Okay, thank you.
There's nothing more to it than that.
Okay, appreciate the clarification. And with respect to the procedural matters, basically what we would do is just to take a motion to change the funding source from free cash to capital exclusion. And if that's what we desire to do, and unless there's any discussion, I'd ask for a motion.
So moved.
Okay, Richard, and just to be clear, I'm sorry. Richard, just to be clear, your motion is to change the funding source to capital exclusion.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. On your motion,
Aye.
Peter McEachern,
Aye.
Pete Kaiser.
Aye.
Christy Ferrantella,
Aye.
Jason Bridges,
Aye.
Christy Kickham,
Aye.
and myself. Okay, great. Thank you. Brian, welcome. Good morning. Happy New Year. You're muted, my friend.
I forget unmute every once in a while. My apologies. Good
That's
morning.
okay. We are going to ask you to pick up with a brief explanation on the fuel farm supplemental.
So this actually, the fuel farm supplemental, it went out to bid. The bids came in and there was a change that I think we were unsure what it would actually do to the project. And as noted in the fuel farm rehab calculations with all of the numbers and the funding sources in it, the original scope that was put out, everyone thought that we could use a manual fire suppression system. However, the fire department has indicated that that would not be acceptable and is required to make the fire suppression system at the fuel farm automatic, which had the impact of a substantial cost increase to the project. The original project, as approved with a supplemental funding request, was 1,731,000, and the bid that I saw for the project when it was originally put out before we came back to you was for just over 3.4 million. So hence the $3,551,000 request. There's been a couple minor alterations to the scope, I think, which has increased it a little bit. So the additional funding is 1,501,678. It's really not something that we have the choice to not do. You know, the fuel farm is probably one of the largest, second or third largest drivers of revenue to the airport. And the ability to sell fuel is something that the airport needs. And without the rehab to the fuel farm, we won't be able to sell fuel. So it's something that I've talked to the airport and all of the engineers about extensively. And I've been involved in most of the conversations and most of the process through this. As you'll note, last year we made a change to the fuel farm revolver, which does allow for maintenance and repairs to the fuel farm to be paid directly from the fuel revolver. I think Peter McEachran may remember, when we first instituted the fuel revolver, it was only allowed for fuel sales or purchase of fuel for nothing else. So we made that change based on the fact that they do have to make repairs to it, and it makes more sense to be able to authorize repairs out of the fuel farm revolver itself, rather than necessarily all the time going to borrowings and retained earnings if it has the money in there. They're proposing $1 million from the fuel farm the revolving fund. Retained earnings will be requested of 201,000, and they're requesting a borrowing authorization of 300,000. But in my discussions with the airport finance manager, I suspect that they may supplement or ask for a authorization to pay the borrowing back with retained earnings once the project is complete and we get into the year of certification for that. But right now, they're asking for a borrowing authorization, which would be consistent with the way they do most of it. If you recall, most of their capital projects are authorized borrowings, and then when projects are complete, they pay the band back with retained earnings, so that there's no net borrowing cost to the airport once the project is completed. So it is a project. This is a supplemental request that I apologize that it came in late. I think is one that I certainly support based on the importance of the project to the airport.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that information. So on the general topic, or any specifics, questions, comments, discussion? Okay. Brian, I guess the only question I have is with the payback not yet determined in terms of the mechanism, is there, just out of curiosity, is there a particular way we would want to vote that in our recommendation? Or would we just do it as a general borrowing and it'll get covered after the fact?
I think what we would do is, for your recommendation is no, I think for yours, you could recommend based on the breakdown that the airport has provided, which I had just mentioned, which is $1 million from the fuel farm revolving account, 201,000 would be coming from retained earnings, and 300,000 the town would be recommending a borrowing authorization. Because when we write the article for the enterprise fund for Article 16 for capital, we will be writing it exactly the way they have spelled it out in the paperwork that we provided.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the clarification. So with that and no discussion further, noting this is obviously a legal requirement, a safety requirement, although it's a big dollar number, I think we all take consolation in the fact that the automatic fire suppression probably would be better than manual in any event, at least a little more expeditious. Is there a motion to, before we get to a motion, I apologize. We have this niggly matter of Rory's to address so that we have consistency amongst not only this particular request, but all requests, and if this request comes up in the future. So I would like to ask if you all could please, I think we can vote this as given the legal requirement without having completed our Rory, but as opposed to having to chase people down, I would ask that when we leave this meeting early in just a few minutes, if you would please log in and complete your Rory. The request is the most recent. If you look up airport, it'll be really evident. So please do that. And with that, I would ask for entertain a motion to recommend this as an FY22 subject to funding sources proposed, which I can enumerate in the actual recommendation.
So moved.
Thank you, Richard. On your motion,
Aye.
let's see, Peter McEachern,
Aye.
Pete Kaiser.
Aye.
Christy Ferrantella,
Aye.
Jason Bridges.
Aye.
Let's see, Christy Kickham,
Aye.
and myself am an I. And again, for the record, for Terry, it will be free cash in the order of magnitude of 200,000. The reserve would come from the fuel, 1 million from the fuel revolver, and 300,000 from borrowing.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
just a point of clarification, the 201,000 is from retained earnings, not free cash. I don't want
Okay.
people to get confused and think that the town is helping to fund this, because we're not.
Yes, no, gotcha. Let me just highlight, I have free cash / retained earnings. So let me
Okay.
highlight that. Okay, great. Thanks a bunch. Next item of business. We do not have, curiously, I guess this was an oversight on my part, and my zest to get into the new year, I omitted discussion of the report, but we did have general discussion of our report, but we did have discussion about this at the prior meeting. And I would just ask if there are any thoughts on including or not including materials. Perhaps shoot me an email. We have discussed, we'll briefly include, just touch on the fact that the 10-year SIP is being developed under our procedural recommendation section of the report. I'm not going to get in great detail of that. I will note, and I appreciate the fact that Rick, through Rick and the town manager and Brian and Rick's efforts, have given me a draft of the outline structure of a 10-year SIP. So I'm going to take a look at that and a couple quick comments, and then we'll get that out for distribution. I'm hoping to do that over the course of the next week or so. I think there are some other things going on, so it's not an urgent matter, and they were ahead of schedule on that. So I would like to thank them for their efforts. Rick?
Yeah, just because you probably haven't had a chance to look at it. What I sent you was not an outline for the 10-year SIP, but rather a framework. The first thing that we had talked about delivering was a framework for department heads to ensure consistency in how they flagged out year projects. So the type of documentation, some cost thresholds that determined how early in the process it was made transparent, what kind of cost estimates they would have. The outline for the 10-year SIP has not been delivered to you yet.
Okay, an important clarification, but still the information you've just outlined is very helpful and more foundational. So I will take a look at that and follow up, and then we'll get it out to the membership for comment. Other than that, if there are any comments or questions on good of the order. Okay, and date of our next meeting is January 14th. I will be in touch with finance, Rick, Brian, to get information, finalize, confirm information on various metrics, tax rate increases, so on and so forth, on all the different elements related to the funding sources, and put that into a draft report and have that circulated to you so that we can review and discuss that at the next meeting. Let's see, dated the next meeting I mentioned, January 14th, 10 a.m. We have minutes under review. Let's see, December 10th, 17th, and 31st. There are no motions required. And with that, and the reminder to please do your Rory for the fuel farm, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Richard, I see you moving, Richard, but you're muted. Jason, on your motion?
Aye.
Excellent, thank you. Peter McEachern,
Aye.
Christy Ferrantella.
Aye.
Let's see here, Christy Kickham,
Aye.
Pete Kaiser.
Aye.
And myself. Excellent. Hey, thanks a bunch, everyone. Take care.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much, Stephen.
Be
Thank you.
safe.
Later.